You grab your keys, put on your shoes, and head for the door. Your dog notices every part of that pattern. Sometimes they follow you quietly. Sometimes they sit and watch. Sometimes they start pacing, whining, barking, or pressing against the door before you even leave. And for a lot of people, that raises the same emotional question: what is my dog actually feeling when I walk out? It is easy to project human emotions into that moment. We imagine heartbreak, betrayal, confusion, or loneliness in the same way a person might feel it. But dogs experience separation in their own way, through routines, expectations, attachment, body language, and learned patterns. That means the answer is not one size fits all. Some dogs feel mild disappointment and then relax. Some feel alert and wait for what comes next. Some shift into true distress, and many fall somewhere in between. In this video, we are going to break that down clearly. First, we will talk about why leaving home matters so much to dogs in the first place. Then we will define the difference between normal attachment and separation-related stress. After that, we will look at the emotional states dogs may go through before, during, and after you leave, and the body language that can help you read those states more accurately. Finally, we will cover safe first steps that can help reduce stress, plus the common mistakes that often make the problem feel bigger. The goal here is not to make you feel guilty for leaving home. It is to help you understand what your dog may be feeling, what is normal, what is not, and how to respond in a way that is calm, practical, and fair to both of you. Dogs are social animals, and that matters here. Over time, your dog learns that your presence predicts safety, access, movement, rest, food, play, and routine. Even if your dog is very independent in other situations, your leaving still changes the entire environment. The home becomes quieter, less active, and less predictable in a different way. So when you leave, your dog is not just reacting to a closed door. They are reacting to a sudden shift in their social and environmental world. That does not automatically mean suffering. For many dogs, owner departure is simply an event they have learned to tolerate well. They may notice it, feel a small drop in excitement, maybe track the sound of the door, and then move on to resting, chewing, window watching, or sleeping. In those dogs, the feeling may be closer to something changed than something is wrong. This is where an important definition helps. Attachment is normal. A dog can prefer being near you, follow you from room to room, greet you enthusiastically, and still cope well when left alone. Distress is different. Distress shows up when separation consistently triggers panic-like behavior, inability to settle, repeated vocalizing, frantic movement, destructive attempts to escape, house soiling in a previously trained dog, or intense body language that suggests the dog is not just bored, but overwhelmed. Another useful term is trigger. A trigger is a cue that predicts your departure, like picking up your bag, putting on a jacket, turning off a light, or touching the keys. Some dogs do not react to the actual moment you leave as strongly as they react to the sequence leading up to it. In other words, the emotional response may begin before the door even opens. So the real question is not simply, does my dog miss me? In most cases, yes, your dog notices your absence. The better question is, how does your dog process that absence? Do they accept it and settle? Do they become vigilant and wait? Or do they spiral into stress because being left alone feels too hard for them to handle right now? Let's start with the most common reality. Many dogs feel a mild form of social disappointment when you leave, but not deep emotional collapse. They may prefer that you stay. They may walk to the door, pause by a window, or spend a few minutes monitoring the sound outside. But after that, they settle into the day. If you have ever checked a camera and found your dog asleep 10 minutes after an emotional-looking goodbye, that is often what is happening. The dog was aware of the separation, maybe briefly activated by it, and then regulated again. That matters because human eyes often overread the doorway moment. A dog staring at the door is not automatically suffering. A dog lying near the entry is not automatically panicking. Context matters, duration matters, recovery matters. The question is not only what your dog does in the first 30 seconds, it is whether they can come back down. A second group of dogs feel something more like heightened alertness. These dogs may not panic, but they do stay tuned in to your absence. They listen for hallway sounds. They move from room to room. They watch windows. They seem to remain on call, as if they are waiting for the household to start again. Emotionally, this can look like uncertainty or vigilance rather than full fear. The dog is not always in crisis, but they are not fully relaxed either. This state often gets mistaken for stubbornness or clinginess. But from the dog's point of view, it may simply be incomplete settling. Their body is still prepared for change. Their ears stay active. Their rest is lighter. They get up quickly at sounds. Some dogs in this category improve with maturity, better routines, more predictable departures, and enrichment that gives them something safe and rewarding to do. Then there are dogs that show true separation-related distress. These are the dogs for whom your departure is not just unpleasant. It feels unsafe, disorganizing, or impossible to cope with. They may begin reacting when they see departure cues. They may pant when the room is cool, drool excessively, pace in fixed routes, bark or howl for long periods, scratch doors, chew frames, throw their bodies at barriers, or become so aroused that they cannot eat a treat they would normally love. Those details matter. A dog that refuses a favorite chew after you leave may be telling you that their nervous system is too activated to engage in normal soothing behavior. "This is why my dog destroyed the couch because he was mad at me," is usually the wrong interpretation. Dogs do not typically plan revenge in the human sense. Destruction near exits, windows, crates, or owner-scented items often points to stress, frantic displacement, or attempts to cope. The behavior may look dramatic, but the emotional engine underneath is often fear, frustration, panic, or over-arousal. It also helps to understand that your dog's feelings may change in phases. Before you leave, they may feel anticipatory tension. During the first minutes after departure, they may feel protest or activation. Later, if they are able to settle, they may transition into waiting or resting. And when you return, they may release that stored energy through jumping, spinning, vocalizing, carrying toys, or intense greeting. So when people say, "My dog is fine when I get home because he looks happy," that does not tell the whole story. A happy reunion does not prove the time alone felt easy. Let's look at some common emotional states more closely. One is simple expectation. Your dog has learned that departures happen and returns happen too. In this state, the dog may track your exit, then resume normal behavior. Their body remains fairly loose. They may sigh, circle once or twice, choose a resting place, and settle. The emotional tone here is stable. The dog notices the change, but it does not overwhelm them. Another is frustration. This can happen in highly social, active, or routine-oriented dogs, especially if departure interrupts something they expected, like a walk, play, or social contact. Frustration may look like barking, grabbing objects, bouncing, scratching briefly, or whining with bursts of energy. Unlike panic, frustration often has a more energetic quality than a desperate one. The dog may recover more easily once the initial blocked expectation passes. Another state is vigilance. The dog is not melting down, but they stay behaviorally on edge. They scan, listen, reposition, and struggle to enter deep rest. These dogs may look fine enough at first glance, but over time, constant low-level arousal can still reduce comfort. They are functioning but not fully relaxed. Then there is anxiety or distress. This is where the body language becomes more important than any single behavior label. You may see panting without heat, repeated yawning, lip licking when no food is present, pinned ears, wide eyes, trembling, pacing, drooling, repetitive movement patterns, or non-stop orientation toward exit points. The dog may seem unable to choose calm behavior. This is less about preference and more about a nervous system that cannot settle into safety. Individual history also shapes this experience. Dogs with a sudden change in routine may struggle more. Dogs adopted recently may not yet trust the pattern of separation and return. Dogs that moved homes, lost a person or animal companion, or experienced long stretches of constant company may react more strongly when left. Even normal life changes, like a new work schedule, school season, travel, or a household member no longer being home during the day, can change how departure feels. Temperament plays a role too. Some dogs are naturally more resilient, more independent, or better at shifting into rest. Others are more socially dependent, more sensitive to change, or more easily activated by cues. Breed tendencies can influence this, but they do not decide everything. The dog in front of you matters more than a stereotype. Age matters as well. Puppies are still learning what alone time means. They may protest because frustration tolerance is low and independence is not yet built. Adolescent dogs often show big feelings about everything, including departures. Senior dogs may struggle if hearing, vision, sleep patterns, or general comfort have changed. So the same outward behavior can mean different things depending on the life stage. It is also worth separating boredom from distress. A bored dog may chew, rummage, or create mischief because they have excess energy and poor outlets. A distressed dog may do some of the same things, but the emotional quality is different. Boredom-driven behavior is often more exploratory and less frantic. Distress-driven behavior often clusters around exits, begins right after departure, and comes with stress signals or an inability to settle. Some dogs experience both, which is why context and patterns matter so much. One of the most overlooked clues is timing. What happens in the first 5 to 30 minutes after you leave tells you a lot. Does your dog bark once, circle, and then sleep? That is very different from barking continuously, pacing, and repeatedly returning to the door. Does your dog take food after you leave? Do they lie down at all? Do they remain tense every time a sound occurs? These details help you move from guesswork to observation. And here is an important emotional truth for owners. Your dog's reaction is not a moral verdict on your bond. A calm dog does not love you less. A distressed dog does not love you more. Distress is not proof of deeper loyalty. It is a sign that coping with separation is hard for that individual at that moment. That shift in perspective matters because it moves the conversation away from romance and guilt and toward understanding and support. So how does your dog feel when you leave home? Most likely, some mix of noticing, expectation, and adjustment. In some dogs, that adjustment is smooth. In others, it includes mild frustration or watchfulness. In others, it turns into real distress. The answer lives in the pattern of behavior, the speed of recovery, the body language, and the dog's ability to settle once you are gone. If your goal is to help your dog feel better about departures, the first safe step is observation without drama. Try to learn what your dog actually does, not what you fear they do. A simple home camera can be useful because it shows the timing, the intensity, and the recovery pattern. You are looking for practical clues. Does your dog calm down after a few minutes? Do they stay active the whole time? Do they react to your pre-leaving routine more than the absence itself? That information helps far more than assumptions. The second safe step is to make departures feel predictable and low intensity. For many dogs, the emotional spike begins when humans turn leaving into a big event. Repeated apologies, long emotional goodbyes, or sudden rushed exits can add extra activation. A calmer routine often helps. That does not mean acting cold. It means being steady. Put your things together. Leave in a normal way. Let the door moment be boring when possible. Third, look at the dog's day as a whole. Dogs often cope better with alone time when their basic needs are met before separation. That may include physical exercise suited to the dog, sniffing opportunities, predictable meals, species-appropriate chewing, rest, and mental enrichment. A dog with no outlet, no routine, and no decompression may find departure harder simply because their body is already carrying extra energy or stress. Fourth, build independence in tiny, safe ways when you are home. This can mean encouraging your dog to relax on a bed nearby instead of always touching you, scattering calm enrichment away from your body, or practicing very short separations that stay below the level of panic. The goal is not to force distance. The goal is to teach that small amounts of space and absence can happen without anything bad following. Fifth, pay attention to triggers. If keys, shoes, or bags cause instant tension, those cues may need to become less loaded. Sometimes people help by using those cues at neutral times without leaving, or by changing the sequence so the dog no longer predicts departure from one tiny signal. The point is not to trick the dog endlessly, it is to reduce the intensity of the warning system that forms around the routine. Now for the common mistakes. One mistake is assuming the dog is being dramatic, manipulative, spiteful, or dominant. Those labels usually block understanding. Whether the behavior is mild protest or real distress, the dog is responding to a felt experience, not trying to win a power contest. Another mistake is focusing only on what happens when you return. People often see an intense greeting and assume that means the dog was either terribly miserable or totally fine. In reality, reunion behavior mostly tells you your return matters. It does not clearly measure how your dog felt for the full time you were gone. Another mistake is moving too fast. If a dog is panicking during long absences, simply repeating the same setup does not teach calm coping. It can rehearse the fear. Improvement usually comes from reducing overwhelm, working at a manageable level, and keeping the dog under threshold as much as possible. Under threshold means below the point where the dog tips into panic and cannot learn well. Another mistake is relying on punishment after the fact. Coming home to destruction or house soiling is frustrating, but punishment does not teach a dog how to feel safe alone. It can make the homecoming itself more stressful, which may worsen the overall pattern. And one more mistake is overlooking sudden change. If a dog who used to stay home comfortably now struggles out of nowhere, that shift matters. Behavior can change when routines change, when the household changes, or when the dog is less comfortable in general. A sudden change deserves careful attention rather than dismissal, so let's recap clearly. When you leave home, your dog usually feels some kind of shift. For many dogs, that shift is manageable. They notice, adjust, and settle. For some, it brings temporary frustration or watchful waiting. For others, it creates real distress that shows up in body language, repeated vocalizing, pacing, inability to rest, or frantic behavior around exits. The difference is not how much your dog loves you. The difference is how well your dog can cope with separation in that moment and in that environment. Understanding that can change everything. It helps you stop guessing based on guilt, stop romanticizing distress as devotion, and start reading your dog more accurately. A calmer dog is not a colder dog. A struggling dog is not a bad dog. Both are simply giving you information through behavior. What does your dog do in the first few minutes after you leave? And did anything in this video change how you interpret that behavior? This video is for educational purposes only. If your pet shows signs of illness, pain, sudden behavior changes, or distress, consult a licensed veterinarian or a qualified behavior professional. If you are enjoying our content, for more clear and friendly tips on life with dogs and cats, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next practical tips.